Hamilton. How old's Rick?
Yeah.
What's Rick? Got to be in his
I'm gonna
mid-50s, right?
If no, like maybe 54. I don't know. He's aging well. He's aging well.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Hamilton. How old's Rick?
Yeah.
What's Rick? Got to be
Back. Okay. We are live on your YouTube channel, Hebsy.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hi, it's 8:52. It's Friday, the 21st of April. And welcome aboard. This is, for a lot of people, the best time of the season. It didn't always used to be this way. Like all the NBA and NHL playoffs didn't start all at the same time. This is crazy. Like every series is it's heading towards game 3 of NBA and NHL. It used to be back in the day when you had a lot of the arenas that were multi-purpose arenas, and there'd be a basketball game and a hockey game, right? Like New Jersey, like the Nets and the Devils play in the same place, and the Lakers and the Kings played at the same place, and the Raptors and the Maple Leafs played at the same place. And what happens when they're all in the playoffs together? But it's so exciting. You just got to keep up with so much. Like, did you see what happened to that basketball game? See that guy get stomped? Did you see that one over there? He kicked him in the balls. See that guy got 75 stitches in his face? You see that guy over there? This all this stuff is happening. You see those 2 idiot fans down there by the penalty box? That's not Toronto, is it? 50 years ago, when the Flyers were in town, they got charged, right? The Attorney General charged, a couple of the Flyer players for because they beat up, pushed an usher or something like that, pushed a security guard, got into it with the cops. Crazy, man.
Good time of year for a sports fan.
Well, it's always a good time of year, but especially when your teams are involved, obviously, right? But let's say the Raptors were in right now. Let's say they were playing out of Brooklyn or Philly, right?
Right.
It would just okay, I get the Leaf, of course. Leafs are always going to be, but the Raptors were champions a few years ago. And what if, and this is going to happen, it's happened before. It's just, I don't remember it, but when everything happened at the same, and the Jays are in town, what the hell? Remember that? There must have been some time where it was the Jays were in town, they're playing the Yankees or the Red Sox, the Raptors are on the road in Philly in the playoff game, the Leafs are at home the next night or the night before or the same night, and all the action going on downtown, and there's construction in downtown Toronto and you can't get anywhere. All that stuff. That happened to me last week when I was going to the game. I could not get, the bus did not take me from where my destination down to Union Station. The bus driver said, look, we can't take buses to Union Station. What? He goes, yeah, no, we have to. We're dropping you off at the 407. I'm like, what are you talking about? Everyone's heading to the Jays game in downtown. It's a Friday night.
Right.
And he says, listen, he said, we've been told we can't, no buses are allowed to go into the terminal, into that area. It's so congested and there's all this construction. And I'm thinking, this is at least another 4 years of this because they're closing Queen Street and it's just a mess down there. You know that, right?
No, I know that. That's why I bike everywhere, Hebsy man. But holy smoke.
But even biking is dangerous in those construction zones, and they cut off a lane there, and you're going with the traffic there, and people are long, they're texting, they're not looking at things, they're weaving. Here's a skinny guy on a bike, you're toast, man. You got to be really careful.
No, you're right, Hebsy man. But one of my secret sauces here is, as you know, I live on the waterfront trail, so I just take that, and then you only have to go a little north because all of our venues are really close to the waterfront trail. You're only titch north, it's all
car. Mike, but Mike, this that the waterfront trail also, cars get on. I saw the car. I saw some guy got ticketed. He drove his car onto the waterfront trail. you saw that, didn't you?
I don't think I caught that, but
oh, you didn't see that picture? Oh yeah, the guy got a ticket. You can't take a car onto the Martin Goodman Trail.
No, I didn't know.
You can't do that. The guy just went, okay, I guess I'll drive over there. The traffic was really bad. There was another shot I saw on I think it was where the 403 meets the 410 meets the 401, where these cars that were stuck on an off-ramp, they decided to sort of go over this short curb and then down an embankment to pick up the westbound 401.
Wow.
I'm watching this, and some dude was recording it from his car saying, look at this, man. And all these people, one guy does it. Says, okay, guys, he's going to do it. I'm going to do it. And now all of a sudden there's these cars, and it's jam-packed on a Saturday. Right. And they're showing this. And it was just, I could not believe it. Are you serious? People are actually doing this. They're actually, I'm not going to sit here, in this traffic. I'm going to follow that guy over there. I'm going to go down that embankment, even though it's not a road. I'm not doing anything wrong because it's the mob mentality. Everyone else is doing it. You know, these are the same people that go backwards. They reverse on an off ramp because they missed it, right? With cars coming at them like 80 miles an hour. Like,
Anything to save 10 minutes of a commute. Hey, I'm going to shout out Junk Food Junction. Hey, Junk Food, are you coming to TMLX 12? Let me know. Wayne Brown, who is in Lethbridge, so he won't be here, but he's saying go Leafs go from Lethbridge. So
the Wayne Brown?
The one and only Wayne Brown.
From Lethbridge.
No substitutes will be accepted. And of course, and Joel Lustig. Joel Lustig. It's a good name, Joel Lustig.
I said that before because it reminds me of a name of and very few people will know this unless you're of a certain vintage, but I've been a Buffalo Bills fan since 1964. The Bills had a kicker by the name of Booth Lustig. Okay. Look it up. Booth Lustig. Just hearing the name, you know, hey, Rick Azar, Channel 7 Sports, and Booth Lustig hit a field goal. I'm like, what?
There you go.
A great name. Like there was Lou the Toe Groza, there was Pete Gogolak, but there was Booth Lustig. And that name just stuck with me. So Joel, if you're any relation, or if not, it's a good
Let us know, Joel, in the comments.
Kenneth
Kev and Brian Gerstein. And
Gerstein's got to get his own show. Got to get his own show. I'll listen. I'll contribute. But he's got to have his own show.
A lot of tennis,
he's got an opinion on every single thing in sports, and he'll argue with you too.
A lot of tennis talk on that show.
Tennis talk, Expos talk, you name it.
That's right. Expos talk. But Joel Lustig he says no relation. First of all, let's get that out of the way. No relation. And he says,
rename Booth of your family. Sports by the way, Mike, is this like a phone, like the equivalent of a phone-in show now?
Yeah, I just read the comment.
No, but you know what I mean? Like you can do it we're doing it in real time as we're on the air here.
Yeah. Right? Well, except,
podcast, if you've got, because back in the day, you'd hear something and go, oh, I gotta chime in on that, right? You'd pick up your phone, you'd dial it, either rotary dial it back in the day or whatever, but you would hear it and say, oh, I gotta chime in. Right. That's the essence of sports talk radio to me, you're a fan and you're listening to these other fans talking and their host is talking, whatever. And somebody says something completely outrageous that you've got to disagree with it. You've got to, wait a minute, I got to get my 2 cents worth in. Or someone says something so profound or just so bang on that you go, oh man, I gotta call in. I have to express my agreement or my whatever it is,
right?
And that's the way human beings, I think, that's how they interact. You go to the bar, I'm talking with my friend, I hear the guy next to me start saying things about Mitch Marner. I go, hey, and we're going to get now. It's going to be a lively discussion, probably. If there's disagreements, is there going to be fisticuffs? Well, I sure hope not. Is alcohol involved? Well, it could be. Are other drugs involved? It's possible. Right. But now when you take that interaction and you take it electronically or, by phone, or even the way we're doing it here, which isn't the same. When you hear someone's voice and they go, I'm sick and tired of hearing about, the sound of that person's voice, the energy or the emotion, you feel that it goes through your body. So when you say, oh, so-and-so writes in so-and-so, it's almost like, I wish they had spoken their words, just hit the microphone button and go, I'm pissed at Sheldon Keefe or something like that.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yeah. I want something that jumps off the paper, the written equivalent of a sports phone-in show. Because those were the best.
Yeah.
And I know it's old school, it's 20th century and stuff like that. But when you hear, and I'm not talking about Mike Wilner's show where, hi, you're on the air. Yeah, I think that, just, Bill from Vaughan. Not like that. It's more than that. It's not, I got to get on and talk about, the Jays game tonight or what happened in the 6th inning. Sometimes you need things more well-rounded.
Right.
Maybe stuff with context or some good storytelling. But the point of the matter, but basically sports is you're arguing stuff because your team's going to lose 70 games a year if you're a baseball fan. And after every one of those games, you're going to be wanting to, why didn't they, and after every one of the 90 wins or 80 wins or whatever wins, you're going to be like, yeah, that was great. And blah, blah, blah. So this is an ongoing thing. It's got to run through your body. That's what this show is all about. We're going to run right through your body. So if you got something to say, let us know on the YouTube channel. Let's start the podcast, Mike. Come on.
course, you were only talking to those on the YouTube channel. So they're like, you're preaching to the choir, Hebsy, man. We're
Not
here.
to the
We're
choir.
here.
Tell your friends. What the fuck am I going to go? I'm
Tell
the
your
marketing
friends.
director of this show too. God damn it. Let's go.
That's how it works in 2023. Here we
Okay,
go,
good.
Hebsy.
All right.
Let's do this.
Are we on the air? We're on the air. We're on the air. Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Hebsy on Sports, episode 330, the morning after the Toronto Maple Leafs smoked the Lightning on 420. I knew you'd get that one. Lit those motherfuckers up like a big fat hootie and tied the series up for 1-1 going to Florida. Yee-hoo! We'll get the delicious details of their devastation of Tampa and what we might expect in Game 3 tomorrow. I'll tell you what we can expect. The entire Toronto media contingent, save for 4 people, are going to be watching the game from Toronto. Not allowed to go to Florida. Okay. Everyone going to Florida on the media bus, line up to the right. Not so fast. Joe Bowen, Jim Ralph, your producer, everybody from the Toronto Sun, Post Media. Sorry, not going. You guys from the Star, you can go. 57,000 people from Sportsnet. Yeah, go ahead. Right. Anyway, that's tomorrow, Game 3, Leafs in Tampa. I don't know what your plans are, but for me, it's going to be, I'll be watching that and barbecuing at the same time. Because the sun will be still up, right? 7 o'clock, sun's up. You're still got another hour or more of sun. Also, the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs, boy, so much going on. Only 2 teams are up 2-0 in their series, which means the rest must be tied 1-1, eh, Hebsy? The great Boston Bruins gave up 6 goals at home. Maybe they're not so great after all. I'm sure the guys who were on the Canadiens of the 70s are going, they weren't so great. 6 goals. We never gave up 6 goals at home in a playoff. Never. Then there's the exciting NBA playoffs where the Philadelphia 76ers have gone 3 up on Brooklyn. What did Masai Ujiri once say about Brooklyn, Mike?
Fuck Brooklyn.
That's what he said. Looks like that's exactly what Philadelphia is doing to them. They're, bend over, Brooklyn. That's right. The Blue Jays had a day off in New York after gagging on the Houston Astros the night before. We'll set up their series in the Bronx and talk about that ridiculous tweet by Anthony Bass,
right? Who
may end up being the most hated Blue Jay, the most despised Blue Jay since Roberto Osuna. I mean, what the hell? Bring up Nate Pearson and send this guy down. Max Scherzer gets a 10-game suspension for cheating, and he doesn't even play for the Houston Astros. By the way, should the Blue Jays call up Nate Pearson? I mean, he's dominating in AAA, or so they say. A deeper dive into this guy that just everyone's just so excited. Oh, and Nate Pearson's going to come along and he's just going to dominate the bullpen. Come on. Guy's almost 27 years old. Hasn't done fuck all. And why do people from BC hate people from Toronto so much, especially those in the media? Is it because of the Leafs? Is it because Toronto's the center of the universe? They can't even take a compliment about the Vancouver Canucks announcers that I put out on Twitter, without turning it into one of those, fuck you, you Toronto asshole. You're from Toronto, you must be an asshole. I hate that. Let's say hi to Vancouver Mike, who's joining us today from, got to be careful. Can't offend people with that name. Mike, that's an offensive name to some people.
That's a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Vancouver.
Boy, these are you, Mike. First of all, number one, I've been tweeting for a number of years. I'm not looking for like a million, like, oh, that's the best tweet ever. I tweet, it's stream of consciousness, basically. But I have never gotten so many likes, first of all, for the tweet and comments from people, negative, like comments like, how dare you tell us that we don't fucking know about we know how good our announcers are here, you fucking Toronto piece of shit.
But let me ask you this.
Whoa, what the heck?
If you were born and raised in Vancouver and you were Vancouver Hebsy, okay, and you decided to stay in Vancouver because you love the mountains and the ocean, you said, I can't find that in Toronto, I'm staying here. Wouldn't you hate Toronto?
Why?
But don't you think you might? Like, it's hard for us because you and I are born and raised in Toronto. So how do we like?
Hate's a pretty strong word. Hate's a pretty strong word, right?
But like passionately root against the city, like dislike the city.
No, I don't get it.
Well, we do have someone from Lethbridge on the line, so we'll find out what's going on.
I don't get it. But the thing is, why are you? Oh, you're from Toronto. Like immediately, poison. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like, give me an equivalent somewhere.
They think we're arrogant.
Like, what do you? Give me an equivalent that much hatred. Like the fact you're from there, you just must be an asshole. Because everyone from Toronto is an asshole, right? Even the people who were from Ontario or from Toronto and live in Vancouver now, are like,
A
yeah,
lot
it's
of those
true.
people.
Toronto assholes are assholes. They're not friendly people in Toronto. They're assholes. And they took all those hockey games. They made us watch the Leafs all those years when we wanted to watch the Canucks. Like, there's that shit too.
But also,
I'll
Hebsy,
get to that. I'm going to get to this later because this
okay.
is
Okay, because when
has
Leafs are
nothing
in
to do.
Vancouver, imagine how pissed off you'd be if the Canucks came to Toronto and like more than half the arena was wearing Canucks jerseys. Like, wouldn't you say, like, fuck these guys? Like, this is our home? Like, there's a bit of that, but we'll get to this later. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, yeah. Do we go and beat up somebody if they wear a Leaf jersey in Vancouver? Is that what Vancouverites do? Is that what they do? Fuck
Do they?
you. And they start
Okay.
beating them up and kicking them. Get there. That jersey is really that hatred of a city. You're talking about a geographical area and all the human beings that live in that area. They must all be assholes because they're from Toronto.
Right. Now, because
that's fucked, man. That's just fucked. Anyway,
as your producer,
I don't want to talk.
You want to get into it, but you've been working blue today, so I've been told by the bosses here. I have to play this very quickly.
The following program contains adult themes, nudity, and coarse language. Viewer and parental discretion is advised.
Please continue.
Thank you, Mark Daly. Really great.
Really great.
Yeah. So anyway, by the way, that's Toronto Mike over there. If you didn't know, he's running things from the mothership in New Vancouver. Okay. I'm getting these and like, it's in print. It's, someone, whatever, the Big Jim 5271 is his handle. But it's like the vitriol is like, we know how good we've got it in Vancouver. Fuck you, Toronto asshole. Whoa. I've never met you before.
A lot of angry people out there.
Just commented on how great I thought John Shorthouse and John Cheech Garrett sounded doing the Boston Bruins Florida Panthers playoff game on Sportsnet. And I, boom, getting hammered here, left, right, and center.
A lot of anger.
All right. Anyway, so the Leafs, Mike, the Leafs had to play their best game of the year last night. And guess what they did? Simple. You guys have to play your best game of the year. Okay? So we can erase the memories of game one. And they did. Beautiful. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And the Leafs played like a team that feared for their lives, that feared that had they lost that game and were to step out into the night after the game, that they would be mobbed by angry Leaf fans still hanging around, from Maple Leaf Square or near the penalty box, enraged, with AK-47s. Oh, maybe not that, but angry. And they thought, we can't let this happen. We cannot cause widespread panic throughout Leaf Nation. We've got to win. And they did. Boom. 6 seconds into the game, right? Like face off, it's scores, power play, Leafs. And right there you went, oh, okay. All right. Okay. Phew. Like after that first goal in 40 seconds, I said, there's no way they're going to lose. There's no way they're going to lose this game. Cannot happen. Cannot happen. Confidence, Samsonov. Yeah, go ahead, shoot pucks at me. I'll stop him. Yeah, beautiful. And also the Leafs are like, wait a second. They go into the corners. There's no Hedman. There's no Hedman.
Right.
Guy's 250 pounds and 6'7". Like he's like a LeBron James on skates. I mean, he's a killer. He's not playing. He didn't play in the. Okay, they lost with him like not playing the last two periods in game one, and now they didn't have to worry about him or Chernak. So Bunting's 3-game suspension was worth it. Like, think about it. It was worth it. He didn't mean to hurt him, but he didn't mean to not hurt him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't mean to get suspended, but hey, you want to play that kind of a game? We'll play that kind of a game. So Chernak gone. And Hedman, who knows with him, Like, you think John Cooper's going to come out and say, oh, by the way, Hedman, let me tell you, had a headache from 3 to 4:30. We gave him 2 Advil. Then his knee started to throb. We put ice on that. And then, we're going to, no, we don't know what's wrong with him. He could have 2 broken ankles. I don't know. But like, we're hoping, game 3, Hedman's not going to play game 3. Leafs are going to take a 2-1 series lead tomorrow night because they got momentum now because they just beat them 7-2. They scored 10 goals on Vasilevsky. 10 goals on Vasilevsky. Sky's the limit. Seriously, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the season, Mike, this team can score. If they win game 7-6, 7-5, so they still win. And that's what happened last night, 7-2. Come on. Game was over after 40 seconds. And then after 2 periods, it's 6-1. And Vasilevsky's like, oh, you're not taking me out. Oh, okay. Like even John Cooper admitted at the end of the game, did you think of taking him out? It was 6-1, put Brian Elliott in there, give Vassy a bit of a rest. Nope. No, I asked him and he said, no, I'm staying in. So he told me. So the goaltender told the coach he's not coming out.
He doesn't like coming out.
What is this? Alec Manoah is like, you've given up 5. No, I don't care. I'm staying in.
He's your ride or die, right? If he doesn't want to come out, he can stay in.
Some manager, some managers like that in baseball. A veteran player, go get the fuck off the field, says to the manager. I'm finishing. Charlie Montoya. Oh, okay, Alec, that kind of a thing. Right. And in this case, John Cooper's like, all right, Vazzy, we're gonna put Kid Els in there for, he's like 40 years old. He's got some experience. If he gives up a goal or two, no big deal. You need a bit of a rest because we need you in game 3. And Vazzy looks at him and goes, fuck off, coach. They go back into the game. And he gives up another goal and 7-2. That always looks good on the resume. 7-2. How do you bounce back from a 7-2 loss? I don't know. Ask Samson.
He's not too worried about that.
7-3.
Yeah, right. You know what? I got to say.
How do you bounce back? How do you bounce back? Here's how you bounce back. You get embarrassed. You get humiliated. You get stomped. You get smoked. Whatever it is. And then people go, 7 goals. And then you and your teammates go, oh, we can't let this happen again. We can't. So I don't know. How's Boston going to respond after giving up 6 goals at home to Florida? 6 goals. Boston, the best team ever. The greatest team in the history of hockey. I don't know. All I know is this. We're tied 1-1 with this team, with Tampa. They don't have Hedman. They don't have the other guy, Chernak. I think we bashed up a couple of other guys. I think Cirelli. I think, seriously, they're hurt. They're the ones who are getting physical at the end of the game. They're getting their doors blown and they're starting fights. They're doing shit like that with Corey Perry. I'm going to tell you something right now. These guys are worn down, Tampa. Let's stomp them right now. 6-1 after 2 periods. No, I'm going to stay in. I mean, even Sheldon Keefe. Oh, Sheldon Keefe got uncoached. Hey, Sheldon Keefe was smart enough to go, okay, Sammy, we need you for the next game. Let's put some Joseph Wall in the 3rd period. At least he did that, right? Team's getting blown out of.
Okay, you're not a good comparison though, because Vasilevsky has delivered, right? He's won the cup multiple times.
Yeah,
right?
But what do you need him in the 3rd period? You're down 6-1,
Yeah,
unless they really thought that they could come back from a 5-goal deficit to win.
No, but he doesn't like coming out of games, right?
Nobody likes Mike. Nobody likes coming out of game. Tell you what, Mike. I'm going to do the podcast until 10, but you can leave at 9:45. We'll bring in somebody. No. What are you talking about? But if you're having a freaking bad day and you're sick or something's going on and there's no chance that you're going to recover, we'll take you out. We'll put the replacement in there, even though you're going to go, no, I'm okay. You need the rest.
But if you saw my record, the games following these kinds of losses in playoffs, and you said, hey, this guy's earned the right. This guy has earned it. He's proven what he can do the game after a bad loss like this, right? He's going to be back in form for game 3. But I have a question, Hebsy, on behalf of all Leaf fans. So we just happened to be recording on Friday morning, the night after that demolition. Lightning doesn't strike twice and all that. We killed the Lightning last night. What if we were recording the day after Tuesday's game? The tone would have been completely different. Have you ever seen a series we were all on suicide watch, and then
no. Some people were on suicide watch, but everybody knew it was a 7-game series. But of course, after the first game, you panic. If you look, last year is the exact opposite. We won 5-0 in the first game. We were giddy.
Right.
We shut them out. Okay, we blanked those mothers. We were giddy for 2 days. All right, but that's human emotion. That's the way it is. It's the roller coaster ride of the playoffs. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. So but
Leafs in 5.
I remember when the Leafs got their asses kicked first 2 games against Detroit in '93. Yeah, Detroit was the number 1 seed, and we were the number 8 seed in the East. That's the way they clobbered us. They killed us the first 2 games. There was no reason to think that the Leafs could come back from that. We just didn't have it. But 2 overtime goals, one in game 5 by Foligno in Detroit, one in game 7 by Borshevsky in Detroit, right?
Unbelievable.
You dug deep. You did what you had to do, right? You had the players. You realized that, it could be done. But after the first 2 games, after the second game, especially, are you kidding me? They got stomped, both games, stomped. There you go. So you just never know, man. And like I said, even though John Cooper says it's got nothing to do with injuries. Oh, well, it wouldn't have made a difference if Hedman was in the game. Bullshit. Come on, if Hedman's healthy, I'll give him the man dominates a game. Okay, he takes the pressure off Sergachev, the other defensemen. Instead, they're playing with like three defensemen, three NHL defensemen, and three guys that they picked up from the local rinks. Like, like the Zamboni driver, I think, is their seventh defenseman. Who the fuck are these guys? And they're getting 3 minutes of playing time.
So
Okay?
the Lightning are toast, Hebsy. They're done.
No, not at all. It's gonna be a 7-game series, just like it was last year. It's a coin flip, Mike. Come on, how close did the Leafs come to winning that series?
Close.
85 times. How many times?
Right.
Right? It's gonna be
We always have a chance.
It's going to be exactly the
six.
same. It's going to be exactly the same way.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm looking at this. It's a 1-1 series. We're tied. We got the split. Okay. Phew, got that. Certainly not out of the woods. We got to win one game in Tampa, all that stuff, right? Can't look too far ahead. But of course, you can't, immediately after game one, like you said, just everybody's like, oh my God, never say anything so horrible. And immediately it was, the pressure's on the Leafs. They have to win.
Right.
They must win this game. You don't think they knew that? Like, you don't think, like, it was just funny to hear stuff like, like what was so-and-so thinking? You don't think he knew this? Like, you have to, some fan, some voice, somebody somewhere that's, doesn't have the experience of either playing or covering or watching or whatever, some expertise, but no stats. Only no stats. It's like, the first time ever a Leaf defenseman has got 4 assists in a playoff game.
Right.
I'm like, that's got nothing to do with this, man. I don't care. It's great that Mitch Marner had 3 points or whatever. And but I remember him when he had a stretch of 18 consecutive games where he couldn't score a point in the playoffs, right? A couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
So all this stuff is just mushy, folks. Get rid of all that stat bullshit. No one's going to care at the end of the series. No one's going to care that Mitch Marner is the first player in the history of the NHL playoffs to get a point on his team's first 4 goals of a playoff series. I heard that when I heard Cuthbert spit that one out the other day. I went, what the heck?
It's spit-worthy, though.
Let me think about this one again. Like, somebody came up with, no player has ever been part of the scoring on his team's first 4 goals of a playoff series.
Right.
Like, people are going to go, what? You mean Gretzky? Like who? Like, really? Like, and just some of the, again, like some of these random numbers, like no one's ever in the first 7 games, like, give me a round number at least. Oh God. It's just like, I wish I had, is there any way you could filter something like that out? Like, please just, only give me the relevant stats or a stat that has context. Like, here's the top point getters, right? Now do me a favor, put that up against the top point getters of all time, or the top point getters last year, or something with some context, instead of just throwing stuff against the wall and expecting me to go, oh, it's relevant. And the announcer doesn't have time to give you the context. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here's a stat. I'm throwing you a stat. Morgan Riley's the first defenseman from Vancouver to ever have 4 assists in a game where his team on a Tuesday night was the number 1 seed. By the way, does anyone know who those people were that were down by the penalty box? The guy with the yellow hoodie, and the lady, the plus sized lady in the Leaf jersey. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the yellow jersey guy. I think that was Canada Kev. I'm not sure, but
holy cow! Hey, like, people are going, oh my God, we've never seen this. This is Toronto. It's Toronto the good. Fans don't act like this in Toronto. Fans can hold their beer in Toronto. They would never. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's right. There was that time in 2015 at the Dome when they were throwing things after the. Okay, never mind. So this idea that, Toronto fans would never do that. We're very, we're fucking standoffish. Toronto people are pretty standoffish. Okay, Toronto's not. Everyone's like, Toronto people are so friendly in Canada. Yeah, in Canada, but in Toronto and down, they're not friendly down there. This is freaking war. God damn it! Give me a couple of beers. Because this is all we're seeing nowadays. Is there another place we can go to the game and drink? Like, I know,
just numb yourself.
All they're doing
yeah.
What?
The world is a horrible place, and you should numb yourself with alcohol.
No, but it's just the whole thing is based on the alcohol. Come on, let's go to the game, but you got to be drinking. Like, you can't. Like, no way could you experience this by not drinking, waving the white towels and cheering for the Leafs. There's got to be beers involved in this.
Well, baseball maybe. Hockey's enjoyable even sober.
It is, but I'm just saying that, like, the assumption is this: that these people down by the penalty box they got to be piss drunk, right? You see pictures. Everybody down by the rail has those wine glasses, the nice, glasses, right?
Right.
You can tell, right? You go, okay, that's from the lounge or whatever. You're in the private box or whatever it is, and you're sitting rails and you're sitting by there, and there were two people right behind John Cooper. All they did was looked at like every time they had a shot of them, they were just looking at their devices. There's wild stuff going on the ice. People are fighting. People are getting kicked out, and they kept cutting back to John Cooper, and the two people behind him are just like looking at their devices. Anyway, very exciting. Quite the atmosphere down there. And it had to be the booze, right? Sober people would never act this way. Why not? Why?
I love this city.
Drunk to be like that?
Hebsy, I love the fact that the mood of this city changes. Like, so after Tuesday, everything felt really doomy and gloomy, and everybody was kind of like, I can't believe how disheartening. Even me, I was so disheartened by how we came out in the first period of game one. I'm like, another great regular season gone to waste. But then after game two, I'm like, well, okay, we win this series in 5, and then we beat the Panthers in 4. I'm like planning the parade over here. It's
nice.
all day by day.
Nice. Matthew Nyes made his playoff. He's got some skills. Yeah. He's got some skills. Yeah. I like what I see there, taking over from Michael Elbows Bunting. He's got 2 more games of suspension before he can return to the lineup. I would think that when he's eligible for game 4, there's a 3-game suspension, 2, 3, 4, or for game 5, and there will be a game 5. I would think the Keefe puts him right back in the lineup. He's not going to be punished. It's not like, okay, kid, Bunting, you're staying, in street clothes and we're going to play Nyes. I mean, Bunting is a good hockey player, right? And I would think that he'll be quite fresh and ready to go when he comes back for game 5. Advantage Leafs. Game 3 tomorrow in Tampa, Hockey Night in Canada. The panel, is there a regular panel now? Is this guy Newsy Lalonde, the coach of the Red Wings, is he a regular on the panel now? He
looks like a regular to me.
Is he there for Jennifer Botterill? She's doing the U.S. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Everybody's broadcasting hockey now. You notice that, eh? Fucking the Food Channel. Oh, we got the hockey game.
But Hebsy, what do you think of Lalonde?
Everywhere. I like Lalonde.
He gets a lot of airtime, right? He gets some significant out
of nowhere. Like, who is he bumping? I don't know. Oh, by the way, hey, coach, come on. He's on. I don't know. Seems to be on all the time.
Lalonde, what you've seen, you like it so far. I'm just wondering, are you glad it's Lalonde? Because the call could have gone out to Brian Burke.
Oh, God, no.
But you have to admit, that must have been discussed in a Rogers Sports. In Rogers. They must have
left him freaking high and dry a few years ago.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm leaving because I'm going to go to Pittsburgh to do nothing.
But they left on good terms as far as public consumption is concerned. Like, there must have been a discussion. Do we bring back Brian Burke to be our? I
don't think so. I think the people in charge now are like, the last thing they want is, going back to Brian Burke would be akin to going back to Don Cherry.
Well, no. There was like a red carpet, goodbye, go to Pittsburgh, we love you, farewell ceremony.
What did you want them to do? What did you expect them to do?
No, I'm asking you.
Brian. And anytime we need you for a job, Mike, and anytime you don't have a job, we'll call you and you can just come back. I hate that shit.
I'm not a Burke guy.
How many different major league managers in baseball did that? They got fired. They went on the desk. They worked for Fox or whatever it was. They did baseball, Joe Torre. And then they get, okay, by the way, we want to take how many, I would like to know how many coaches have been hired directly from the broadcast booth. Do you know that Mike Nicolak, when he took on the job as Leaf coach, you know what his job was before he was the coach of the Leafs?
Hockey commentator. What was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was on radio. Yeah. Ron Hewitt and Mike Nicolak. John McGilvery and Mike Nicolak. Maple Leaf Hockey. Yeah, Mike Nicolak was a radio commentator for the Leafs. This was before Joe Bowen got there. He was on and it was like, oh, we need a coach.
Well, I was mildly surprised not to see Brian Burke's grumpy face on Tuesday night.
Brian Burke's past his prime. Okay? You can't keep coming back. Oh, I went to Pittsburgh, come back. No, you got to move on. You see, here's the thing. If he was that good and they liked him that much, they would have locked him up to a long-term deal and said, no, you can't go back and be an executive again. How many times is this going to happen? How many times? Anaheim in 2000 and whatever. I think he was an executive with Hartford before that, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay, he wasn't a high executive, but anyway, he was, okay, so Hartford, Anaheim, Toronto, Calgary. Was he in Vancouver?
Yeah, well, he brought the
Vancouver,
Twins in, right?
Pittsburgh, right. No, he got lucky there. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pittsburgh. So, I mean, how many different organizations? And between that, was he at Rogers, Sportsnet, TSN? I don't know. This broadcast, that broadcast in Canada. Okay, fine. I'm tired of Brian. Give me somebody else. Give me somebody that's got some spunk, something. I don't know. Okay. Game 3 tomorrow in Tampa. Game 4 goes Monday, also in Tampa. So it'd be worth a trip to Tampa. I think there are going to be a lot of Leaf fans there. And after a while, when I see the colors, because the Tampa colors, the Tampa blue is bluer than Leaf blue, darker blue. But still, when you see those jerseys all together, it's hard to distinguish the Leaf blue. And when everybody's up and cheering and whatever, go, well, there's a lot of blue here tonight, a lot of Leaf fans. And wait a minute, that's a Tampa. That's one of their third jerseys. It's kind of a maple leaf blue.
That's a Chris Kontos jersey.
Chris Kontos. There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. Elsewhere in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night, if you care, and I'm interested in the other series. The Rangers won both games in New Jersey. Like a home game over there, right? Eli Manning's at the game, right? Former Giants quarterback, right? So he's there with his kids, and Jackie Redmond is interviewing. And by the way, when Tim and Friends ended, they replaced it with the NHL show from NHL Network. Oh, fuck, is that a bad hockey show? Oh, my God.
But it's a cheaper show, Hebsy.
Oh, my God. Hi.
They're already making it.
And who are these guys?
And
it was okay when Bruce Boudreau was on, but it's just they just talk. We could just keep talking as long as we want to talk for.
This NHL production that they're now just going to air in place of Tim and Friends. This is really designed for American hockey fans, right? Am I right? Like this is designed. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of.
It's painful to freaking watch. Painful.
A lot of Rangers. When you think
to watch.
Rogers might want more Oilers, for example, and Leafs.
Exactly. So you're watching this going. So we got to watch for 3 hours. Them spoon feed this, not spoon feed. I shouldn't say that at all, but there's some good information they have. But I'm like, why don't we have how come we don't have 3 people? Okay. 3, a host, and 2 and a former coach and another commentator, and just have them sit there. And then, we'll just on chairs and we'll just talk. How tough could that be?
It's
to
easy
do in Canada,
but it costs more money than this.
Anyway.
I'm
watching that broadcast. Anyway, so the Rangers win. They win in New Jersey last night, 5-1. And at the end of the game, and this is what happens. If you're losing big, you want to get your pound of flesh. You start a few fights, like Tampa did last night, like the Leafs didn't do game 1. Like they turtled the Leafs, basically. They're like, oh, okay. You can skate around us. They didn't go after guys or whatever. Last night, Tampa were down by 5 goals. Fuck it. Let's start some fights. So that's what the Devils did. Like, they get beat twice at home. A lot of Ranger fans in New Jersey, a lot of Ranger fans. And they don't like each other, these two. So it was good. So we're, they're going to Madison Square Garden. They could go up 3-love tomorrow. Big Chris Kreider with a couple of power play goals. And watch out for the Rangers. Watch out for the Rangers, all I'm saying. In the West, Colorado even their series with Seattle, coming back from a 2-0 deficit to win 3-2. Game 3 is tomorrow night in Seattle, and it's the first ever Stanley Cup playoff game in Seattle. Mike, it's going to be wild there.
Woo!
Absolutely wild. I'm looking forward to watching that because that's a great franchise. I love their logo. I love their colors. I love the fact that they're successful. Right off the bat, it's great to see. Yes. And speaking of which, Vegas, by the way, that series is tied 1-1, Colorado and Seattle. And Vegas, who, look, a couple of years ago, first year in the league, go to the Stanley Cup final. There's a successful franchise too, huh? I'd be envious.
Oh, well, we think about it. We haven't been to a final since 1967.
I know. And we played in the West. We could have made a final one year if we could have knocked off LA when we were a Western Conference team back in the day.
Right.
A couple of times. At Vancouver one year. When I think of the traveling that I did, never mind, I followed the team. But when I think of the traveling that I did, just me, and I never played a game, I'm exhausted thinking about it, Mike.
Right.
Thinking about it. I mean, that was, okay, Detroit was the first year. Detroit was the first series. That wasn't bad. St. Louis was the second series. Right. The Kings back and forth to LA was the third series.
7 games all 3.
Yeah,
That was
and then
21 games.
and then the year after that was Vancouver was the semifinal series. What
5 games, I think. I think we got hammered.
Oh
in
boy,
this.
I'm trying to think how we got there. I think St. Louis in one of the
Oh,
rounds.
San Jose. Wasn't it?
San Jose.
Yeah.
Right.
And that went 7, didn't it?
Oh my God, that was wild.
Garpenlov hit it off the post.
crossbar. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes, exactly. Okay, so
That sound haunts me to
but
this day. Like, I
that
can
was a
hear the
lot of
sound.
traveling. That was a lot of traveling. Very
Love
exciting
those
stuff.
teams, Hebsy.
That's
Love
30,
those.
Mike. That's 30 years ago. 30 years ago.
But I'm
Andrew
wearing the
Jack
jersey,
Gilmore,
Hebsy.
Andrew Bob Rouse, Sylvain Lefebvre, Todd Gill.
I bought this
Dave Ellett.
jersey because of
fan.
yeah, no, this is the jersey I bought when this is when Doug Gilmer was the what do we I always say assistant, but it's alternate. I know I've always said assistant. But when Wendell Clark was the captain and Dougie was the alternate, and I bought this jersey and I wore it for every ball hockey game. I loved that 93-94 era.
Yeah, people will never forget that because they're, certainly when you were in your youth.
Yeah, I was a
But
teenager.
any Leaf fan, you could have I'm, kids 6 and 7 year olds at the time going, stayed up late to watch that kind of thing. Dougie, I love Dougie.
We were all Felix.
Yeah, it's good. Meanwhile, my cousin lives in Vegas, and like first year when the hockey team announced the hockey team, he got seasons tickets, really good season tickets for the first year, and they go all the way to the finals, and he's like, "Oh, this is great! I love hockey." And I'm like, "You mother, we haven't been in a final in like 50 some odd years, and your first year you go to the final. It doesn't work like that every year." Meantime, they're playing well again this year. They evened their series with Winnipeg. They won 5-2 at home, thanks to this is a great story. Captain Mark Stone. Okay, this dude misses 3 months with back surgery. It's his second game back. He's the captain. He's the spiritual leader of this team. He scores twice in the third period, had 2 goals and an assist, and Vegas wins 5-2 and evens their series with Winnipeg. Game 3 is tomorrow afternoon. Okay, tomorrow afternoon. That's Saturday afternoon in Winnipeg. Okay, Hockey Day in Canada, Winnipeg, Vegas. And I bet you they have the whiteout in Winnipeg. I mean, I've been checking because I'm not that interested in Winnipeg, but I hope they have the whiteout. And I really like Rick Bowness. I like him personally. I met him many times. I like him, man. And I hope because they had some problems near the end there. It was like, oh my God, we might miss the playoffs. What the hell? But they got Connor Hellebuck, who's a hell of a goalie. And I hope they do well. So they're tied 1-1 in that series. Tonight, Carolina up 2-0 travels to Long Island, not Long Island. If you're from there, it's one word, Long Island. The Bruins got hammered 6-3 at home. So people are like, wait a second, Florida. And then Alex Lyon gets the start, and they beat them, fantastic. 6-3. So they're in South Florida to play the Panthers. That series is tied 1-1. Same for the Minnesota-Dallas series, which moves to St. Paul, the XL Center, for tonight's third game. And in Los Angeles, the Kings host the Oilers for game 3 of that series, all knotted up 1-1. That's a great series, too. It was last year. It went 7 last year. The Oilers were down 3-2. They won game 6 and game 7 to take the series. And, man, just some good hockey. Really good hockey. So I'm watching the Boston-Florida game the other night. And normally, Mike, the broadcasters would be from ESPN or Turner, TNT or TBS or whoever down there's got it. And we don't get those games up here, right? We don't get Turner. We can't get those games because they're blacked out because we get the Canadian broadcast. So on Sportsnet, the Boston, Florida game, instead of it being Jack Edwards and whatever, but he's the local guy, but instead of it being an ESPN guy, whatever, Steve Levy or whoever, it's Sportsnet broadcasters. It's John Cheech Garrett and John Shorthouse. Now, these two guys do Vancouver Canucks games on Sportsnet in the Pacific region. We here in Ontario cannot see those games. Those games are blacked out. We can't see them. So I know of these two guys. I've seen highlight clips of, where you hear, Shorthouse score, and Cheech Garrett, who I've known for years, says, oh, it was a great play by so-and-so. So I've heard clips, but I've never heard them do like a full game. And I'm listening to them do Boston, Florida. And I'm going, these guys are great. Like, wow, do they sound good? Oh my God, Canucks fans oh God. And I'm thinking, I wish that we had 2 announcers that do all the games, the same 2 announcers, like they do in Vancouver. Because we don't. We get Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson, or we get Gord Miller and Mike Johnson. Am I right here, Mike? Pretty much, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And these guys in Vancouver, they get Shorthouse and Cheech Garrett all the time. Every game that's done, unless it's a TSN national game, I don't know. But for the most part, I'm thinking that people who have that watch Vancouver Canucks games on television, this is pretty much what they're getting. They get just about every game is their two guys, like Joe Bowen used to, like it was all Joe Bowen did all the Leaf games, right? And then not. So I'm envious. So I tweet this out. I'm so impressed with the duo of Shorthouse and Garrett in the Boston, Florida series on Sportsnet. Canucks fans don't know how good they have it. That's it, right? That's it. And I tag, Canucks with the hashtag Canucks. Oh my God. I'm meaning this as a compliment. I'm thinking, and I'm, it's sort of like you guys are lucky. You don't know how good you've got it. And these people are tweeting back. Basically, they're looking at it going, who does this guy think he is from Toronto? So the comments I'm getting are basically like, fuck off, you Toronto prick. We know how good we've got it with Shorty and Cheech. How dare you tell us how good we've got it, you fucking Toronto piece of shit. I'm reading some of these and going, oh. Meanwhile, I'm getting all these likes from people going, yeah, we like Shorthouse, and maybe they're hearing them for the first time as well. Maybe they're from parts of the world where they had never heard John Shorthouse and John Garrett do broadcast a game. It's totally possible that many people have not heard them do a game. I was one. And again, I knew John Shorthouse before he did Canucks games on radio. He worked for UTV in Vancouver, right? Cheech Garrett, I've known since I watched him play for the freaking Peterborough Petes when I was a kid.
Right.
And interviewed him and worked with him when I did global games. And John Garrett, was doing Hockey Night in Canada, but he did a lot of global games, midweek games. I was part of that. I know who these guys are, but I had never heard them do a full game. And I'm just tweeting out how lucky you guys,
I have a theory. You want to hear my theory?
People are just laying into me, Mike.
Okay, possibly it's because John Garrett made an announcement recently that he's actually done. He's retired from doing Canucks regional games. So maybe hearing the Toronto guy talk about this great team that Vancouver has, knowing that this team is done. That team's broken up. They're done. John Garrett's done with Canucks regional games. He's retired from that. Maybe that they seem like it's a bit of a salt in the wound, maybe.
Huh? No, it's just commenting on how great they are. Okay, but people, I see what you mean, should have said how good they had it. Past tense.
To say hey, this is a great team you have. Oh, sorry, I guess you don't have them anymore. Sucks to be you.
I didn't say that at all.
I know, but they're going to read that into.
I didn't say that at all. That wasn't the tone
Hebsy.
at all. The tone was, you guys don't know how good you have. It's a compliment. It's like, you guys don't know, man. You're from Toronto. Oh, you guys don't know how good you've got it. The restaurants, the vibe, the whatever. And and I go, well, yeah, we kind of do. Or, well, thanks for the compliment. But no, it's like, fuck you. Get out of my town.
There's a lot of assholes online.
Don't you tell me how I should feel. Like, I'm just complimenting. I'm just like, you guys are lucky that you've got, the same two broadcasters to do everything.
But they're not lucky because they're done.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
But Andrew Ward, I got to read this from your YouTube channel.
Jeez, man.
From your live.
Vancouver, relax, you fans. Fuck you, Toronto. I remember hearing this from Steve Armitage once in a lounge on the Air Canada, where he's going, you Toronto guys getting everything. The Leafs can't, blah, blah. And I'm just listening to this whining. I'm going, does everybody from Vancouver like this? I'm realizing that all these people, we want to watch the Canucks. We don't care about the shitty Leafs all those years. We don't care about, and if you're from Toronto, you're a Leaf. And fuck you. All those years that we had to watch Leafs, and we had our Canucks and the lead story was always Leafs, and everybody in Toronto sucks. Years of that.
Right.
Come on, man.
And again, Canucks have never won a Stanley Cup, just putting it out there. But Andrew Ward, and we've won 11, by the way. Okay.
No, hang on. Before you get to Andrew Ward, and by the way, okay, we're okay with you cheering for the Toronto Blue Jays. You see, we're not like, fuck you, Vancouver, go get your own fucking team, right? And we got the Raptors, and you guys had a team and don't. So, and you guys lost to the Bruins and rioted. So don't take it out on every person from Toronto. Why don't you look inward at yourselves?
Look in the mirror. Go enjoy your ocean and mountains.
I love
Leave
Vancouver.
us alone.
I love the people of Vancouver. I have lots of friends there in the media. I do. And if I had a chance to, I would have shouted out for all my friends in the media, people who I think are really good and talented. I just so happened to mention John Shorthouse and John Garrett, and holy cow. All right. Anyway,
you struck a nerve. But
I
Andrew
did.
Ward does have a nice
Yes,
question.
Andrew. Yes, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Was Garrett nicknamed Cheech only because of his porno mustache and curly hair, or was it because he's 420 friendly?
No, no. He was called Cheech before anybody knew what 420 was. He looked like Cheech Marin. If you go back to the early 70s, let's say 73, okay? And you look at pictures of John Garrett, right? 73, 74, 75, right there, and Cheech Marin and of Cheech and Chong, who are, I mean, the stoners of all stoners. Hey, man, Big Bamboo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, John Garrett looked like Cheech Marin. He had the same mustache. The hair was kind of curly and pushed on, kind of a thing like that. And it stuck. It's a great nickname.
Remember, Tommy Chong's Canadian.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay,
so there you go, Cheech. I mean, I've known. Listen, the dude's from Trenton. He played for the Petes. I saw him in the WHA. Played for the freaking Birmingham. Was one of the baby Bulls.
So why is he retiring? He's still got game. Is it because he's got another gig or something? He says he's
let me ask you
retiring
this.
from regional broadcast.
Why did Jerry Howarth retire? Why did Jim Houston retire? Why did retire?
Although Jim did retire, apparently.
I don't know. Again, right? He did, but again, I don't know. Was he pushed? Was he, you want to have an end thing, whatever?
More reason to be pissed at you for praising him, that they can't even afford to keep their great duo there in Vancouver. Like, how much must it suck to be a Canucks fan?
I don't know. All I know is Rogers are a bunch of cheapskates. We know that. Okay. So anyway, NBA playoffs are in full swing. So this is the other network now because TSN covers the NBA playoffs, right? Sportsnet's got all the hockey, 5.2 billion, right? Let's hope the Leafs get through one round. God, we'll make our money.
But they share it, right? Hebsy?
I don't know.
Sportsnet gets NBA playoff games too.
They do?
Yeah. I think that.
When could they possibly run NBA playoff games? It's all hockey.
Okay, I think I've
Every night
watched
is hockey.
some NBA playoff on Sportsnet this year.
I think
feel like they share
Mike,
it.
I think Sportsnet's got the Jays and hockey.
That's
I don't
true.
Think they have room for.
I
NBA.
think they share it with.
I think all the NBA's got. I think they share Raptors. I don't know if they share the. Anyway, I'm not used to tuning into Sportsnet for basketball now that the Raptors are out. I'm used to tuning
you
into
talk
TSN.
about the NBA, and I'll dig this up. But I'm sure
you don't have to. You don't have to. You just
Sportsnet,
pay attention to this show. Regardless, you'll find. You want to watch the NBA playoffs, you'll find them.
I can multitask.
You'll find them. Anyway, they're in full swing on whatever your network of preference is. Even though he tried to kick his opponent in the cojones, Joel Embiid of Philadelphia was not ejected from last night's win over Brooklyn. If you see the video of this, you saw the video the other night of Draymond Green stomping Danny Sabonis of Sacramento, like stomping on his chest. Okay, the word stomping is correct. He didn't give him a foot massage. He stomped him and he got a 1-game suspension. He got kicked out of the game in a 1-game suspension. And then last night, here's Nick Claxton dunking over Embiid, Nick Claxton of Brooklyn, dunking over Embiid. And then now Embiid's on the ground. He's lying on the floor after being dunked on. And then there's this, he Claxton goes to step over him. Now that is a sign, that's taunting, and it's a close one. You're in the heat of a game. It could be interpreted a certain way, but Embiid was down, and you have to take a step somewhere. If there happens to be a body in front of you, what are you going to do? He was either going to step on his chest or he was going to step over him, right? He really wasn't in a position, Claxton, after dunking, that he was going to go backwards to avoid stepping over Embiid. Anyway, as he steps over him, Embiid kicks out with his size 20 and just misses kicking him in the balls. He kicks right out at him and just missed. And everyone is like, whoa, how is that not an ejection? How is that not an ejection? Especially after what happened like a couple nights earlier with Draymond Green. How did he get away with it? MVP candidate. How did he get away with that is beyond anyone. And so he was given a flagrant 1 and remained in the game. And what does he do? He blocks the potential game-tying layup in the final 10 seconds. Because he's still playing, he should have been kicked out. And the weird part is his teammate, James Harden of Philly, he gets kicked out of the game, misses the whole fourth quarter on a very questionable flagrant 2 for throwing an elbow. That you're looking at going, how is that a flagrant 2 and an ejection? And what Embiid did was a flagrant 1. It was just, and again, it throws into question the officiating. And the first thing I thought of course, is, all right, that official, is his brother-in-law the guy who testified against so-and-so in a case from his next door neighbor? Is there a conflict of interest? Because there's every time the official makes a bad call in any sport, now there's a conspiracy theory. Do these two know each other? Do they have history? What's this team's record when this guy's officiating? Now we get into all this, and all this information's available. You just got to dig it up. You just got to dig it up. Like, what was Wes McCauley's record? What was
Nick
the
Nurse
Leafs
fired.
record when Wes McCauley was officiating? Like, all this stuff.
I want to ask you about that, but I just want to break news on your show because you are live on YouTube that Nick
We're
Nurse
live.
no longer head coach of the Toronto Raptors. That happened right now.
Big surprise, huh?
I'm not a big surprise, but
So-
still newsworthy.
So he resigned, or what happened?
More details to come, but
What do you mean more details? What does it say?
well, the Woj bomb is just that he's out as Raptors coach. Sources tell ESPN.
So they're
So I
not
need-
renewing his contract, and he's a free agent, and he can go do
Yeah.
what he wants to do.
So fired, resigned. I will find out, but no longer head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Quickly, Hebsy, I have to ask you this. I should have asked it during the Leaf segment. I want to get back. By the way, I have confirmed there are a number of NBA playoff games on Sportsnet, so they seem to share the NBA playoffs with TSN.
All right.
For my research here. Okay, and I'm sure I've seen one this season already. So
I'm sure too, but I'm thinking.
You don't think of it because the Jays.
No, I'm thinking of man between. I mean, you've got the Jays, and you've got your hockey commitment. I'm just, I'm sure there are some gaps there where there's no Jays, there's no hockey, and it's like
if you want to see, and I'm sure you do, you'll watch the Nets versus 76ers game 4. And when you're looking for that, you're going to be watching it on Sportsnet at 1 p.m. tomorrow. So they've got that. And they got Phoenix and Los Angeles. So they have the Clippers.
Okay, they got some games.
Suns,
My
too.
mistake.
They got
My
some
mistake.
games.
I'm
Okay.
just
But-
more used to watching hockey and the Jays. No, first of all, the Jays are going to be on Sportsnet 1 anytime there's hockey on, because hockey takes over all this.
Okay, so
Sportsnet channels.
before, because I do like the
exhausted.
general reaction.
Okay, that's
to
it for the show. Thanks for joining us.
The Nick Nurse news just dropped on us, and I'm curious for your take. But I have to go back really, really quickly because I promised my buddy Cooksey I'd ask you about this. We all know the Leafs deserve to lose game 1. It doesn't matter who's refereeing. The Leafs sucked. They should have lost game 1. So this is not about anything to do with the Leafs losing game 1. But the optics of having Wes McCauley referee a Leafs game in the playoffs when Wes McCauley's sister is married to David Frost, who is Sheldon Keefe's abuser. The optics are bad. I don't understand why the NHL would assign Wes McCauley to a Leafs playoff game, considering that.
Well, that's a stretch. That's a huge stretch.
No, the optics, you don't think the optics are bad.
Right? You're kidding me, right? We're talking
I'm not
about a
saying Wes-
brother-in-law. I'm going to testify.
Well,
Wait a
he's
second.
also friends with David Frost. who is
Listen
his
to me,
brother-in-law.
Mike. If your next door neighbor, who you're very, very good friends with and have been for 20 years, okay, is officiating a game that your son's playing in and happens to be in the Stanley Cup final, and somebody says, wait a second, how can the next door neighbor of the kid who plays center for rugby be officiating against a conflict? Is that a conflict of interest?
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah, because you grow up,
hang on
he's like a surrogate son or whatever.
So every time an official in any sport, umpire, whatever the case was, you had to do a background check on that umpire to ensure that there was no personal. Hang on, let me finish. There's no personal or business connection, right, with the official and anybody involved in the game. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm telling you specifically, you've got a number of referees who can referee the Leafs game. Wes McCauley's sister being married to David Frost with the situation with Sheldon Keefe. That's enough for any professional league to say, we'll assign you to the Rangers game instead. We'll let someone else.
Sorry,
referee.
not at all.
Okay, my 2 cents. My 2 cents.
Big stretch. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? Why don't you take Wes McCauley into consideration? Why don't you take this man into consideration as a man? Forget about anything else.
Right.
You honestly think that Wes McCauley is going to change the way he thinks about a call because of...
Oh, I didn't say that. I'm talking about
what are you saying?
I'm saying the optics are bad.
Well, who gives a fuck about the optics?
The optics are often everything.
Hey, do you know who this is?
Like if it appears to be a conflict of interest,
Mike,
matters
it's
as much
no
as the
more of
fact
a
that there's
conflict of interest, like I said, is if the official happened to be good friends with the next door neighbor. The guy knew him since he was a kid. Okay.
I think, and he wasn't the ref for game 2, so maybe they listened to me, but I think you don't have Wes McCauley referee a Maple Leaf playoff.
Mike.
Yeah. Well, Sheldon Keefe is the coach.
Why didn't you bring this up the first time Wes McCauley refereed
I didn't know. I only learned this after game 1. I had no idea.
I see. And so, and did we go back and look at the tape of every single game that Wes McCauley?
Yeah, but you're missing the point. Tell me
what the point is.
I am not suggesting Wes McCauley is changing calls based on the fact
you are.
He testified on Dave.
No. That's exactly what you are. You're talking about the optics of which you.
I'm saying
You believe
Yeah.
that Wes McCauley should not be officiating games that Sheldon Keefe is coaching. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's exactly what I'm
Because
saying.
of the optics.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks for that. Okay.
Because
I disagree.
he testified
I
on
disagree.
behalf of David
I
Frost
disagree.
I know we disagree, but it's fun to disagree once in a while. I think it's a no-brainer to not assign Wes McCauley to the Leafs playoff games. I think the optics are bad enough to just assign a different referee and assign Wes McCauley to a different game.
No, you're 100% wrong. And you'd be capitulating to these fucking conspiracy theorists.
And as
Really?
a lot of people
You would be,
listen,
I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you this right now. Okay. Don't come at me with optics. When we're talking about sports where active athletes are telling you to bet on the game that they're playing in, that they might not be on the up and up. Don't throw an official now into this thing and suggest to me that the optics look bad when the real optics that look bad are the Connor McDavids and whatever saying, oh, I'm trying to make a ban on the game tonight. That to me, I don't like those optics. Okay. That to me is a conflict of interest. That's a conflict. You're taking money from this thing. You're saying, come and bet.
Yeah, but that's a whole separate discussion. Right?
Yeah.
That's another discussion.
But if you're going to bring something up, just make sure that your magazine is full with more ammunition than this.
But Hebsy, if you have anyone in your life who's not
wasting time, Mike, you're done. You've already
made
is
Hebsy on sports.
I've made my point. We're going to move on. All right. So just get down off your social justice platform. Save it for your show.
Not social justice.
Let me move on. Let me move on with this show. Okay. Let's talk about sports here, not your, single bullet theory or whatever. Optics. There's lots of bad optics.
It's not a conspiracy.
You can't just pick and choose. You can't just pick and choose. You'd have to go back over every single game that was played and look at the possible lack of integrity from an official.
Irrelevant.
The possibility. And you'd have to go into the background and see, were there any court cases? Was there any ever charges done? What type of relationship did this official have with that person? Right? And you never brought this up for how many years?
I only learned of this. I only learned about this
really?
Wednesday morning with Cooksey telling me everything. I had no idea.
Lovely. Let me get
I think
back
you've
to
lost
where
it, Hebsy. Let's go on. I think you've lost
Before we
it.
lose every single listener here at this thing with this ridiculous thing, I want to get into important stuff, okay? Like the tweeting of Anthony Bass and the popcorn. That's important stuff. Okay, so Phil, where were we? Where was I?
Yeah, let's talk about sports. Let's talk about Bass and his tweet.
No, hang on. Philadelphia up in that NBA series 3-0. The Warriors stormed back to beat the Kings 114-97. Steph Curry led the way with 36 points for the Draymond Greenless Warriors because he stomped on the guy's chest. That series now 2-1 in favor of Sacramento. And Kawhi Leonard didn't play last night. Load management? No, he just had my knee, his sprained right knee. Didn't play, and the Clippers lost 129-124 to Phoenix, who are now up 2-1 in that series. Devin Booker, 45 points. KD, 26 points. Tonight, the Celtics up 2-love on the Hawks, travel to Atlanta for Game 3. The Knicks and Cleveland tied 1-1 with Game 3 tonight in Cleveland. And the Denver Nuggets up 2-0 are in Minnesota tonight to play the T-Wolves. Bucks and Heat go tomorrow in Miami. That series is 1-1. Memphis travels to LA to play LeBron and the Lakers tomorrow. That series also 1-1. Baseball now. The Blue Jays begin a series with the Yankees tonight in the Bronx. The other night in Houston, they had the bases loaded and nobody out, trailing 2-1 in the 8th inning. And coming up with the bases loaded and nobody out, George Springer, Bo Bichette, and Vladdy Guerrero. Baby, that's a win. Not exactly. Springer lined out to third. Bo struck out and Vladdy flied to center. The Jays got nothing. Then in the bottom of the 8th, the Astros scored 6 times and beat the Jays 8-1. So they had a day off yesterday to think about their performance. And what a great performance by Jose Barrios. And it is Barrios because I've been listening to Dan Shulman say his name and I've got it, Mike. It's Barrios. It's Barrios.
Because Wilner says it differently.
It's Barrios. It's Barrios. It's Barrios. It's Jose Barrios. He was given up for dead a few weeks ago, right? We were ready to cart this guy out of town. He goes 7 strong innings, leaves the game trailing 2-0. And then you had the heart of the order up there with the sacks drunk and you couldn't push tying run across. You really can't afford to lose games like that if you're the Blue Jays. I know it's a long season. I know, but you're 5 back of the Rays. You're in 4th place in the East. You had your chance with your big boppers coming up. They didn't come through. You can't have that happen too often. Tonight, the Yankees. We got the Yankees in the Bronx and Yusei Kikuchi 2-0 goes up against Domingo Germán of the Bronx Bombers. 7:05 first pitch on one of the Sportsnet channels because there's hockey on, I think, tonight. I know that MASH is on at 7 and 7:30 on TLN. That's what I know. Tomorrow afternoon at Yankee Stadium, Alek Manoah against Garrett Cole. They're going to meet by the Audi sign before the game and duke it out, and then they'll go to the mound together. That should be a good one. You know what, Mike? It's been a while since I've looked forward to a pitching matchup. Remember back in the day, you go, ooh, look at that pitching matchup. Steve against Morris. It's a big one. You know, Madison Bumgarner again. By the way, he got released. Madison Bumgarner. All these. Now, Garrett Cole against Alek Manoah. That's a good one. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon. And Sunday, Kevin Gausman against Clark Schmidt, who has an ERA of over 8. So we got a chance there in the Bronx. Max Scherzer of the Mets has been suspended for 10 games for using a foreign substance that contravenes the rules of baseball. He was told by the umpires after I think the second inning, wash your hands. You got that sticky rosin on your hand. You can't have that. So go wash. So, okay, he supposedly goes and washes his hands. They check him again after the third inning. Hey, we told you. Oh, the sweat, this. If it happens again. So they warned him like twice. And then after the fourth inning, he comes off and like and they throw him out of the game. And his reaction was great. It was like he's stomping up and down like a kid. Like, you can't throw me out of the game. They tossed him, and he got suspended for 10 games. Good. Anthony Bass. I don't even know he made the team this year. I couldn't tell. He's a mop-up guy. But this dude caused such a firestorm that I'm thinking, who are the worst Blue Jays ever? Who are the most hated, despised Blue Jays, like, of all time? Right? Mike, think about it. Like,
who put the homophobic slur under their eye? Who did that?
Yeah, there you go. Yunel Escobar.
Right.
So, I mean, think about guys that as soon as you found out they had done something, you were like, oh, get rid of this guy. Like, we never did this with like Roberto Alomar, although he wasn't a Blue Jay when he spit on John Hirschbeck, was he? No,
he was.
But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was an Oriole. But we never did that with like a really great player. But as soon as a guy wasn't playing so well, and then he did something stupid, right? Or just, ignorant, whatever, it was like, okay, get rid of this guy. And so, yeah, Yunel Escobar, Roberto Osuna to me is
for sure
the most hated, right? And you're talking about he was our top reliever, but so him. I'm thinking also Brett Laurie in his final few days was a jerk, right? There was one play where he yelled at one of his teammates for not tagging up on a fly ball. He didn't get credit for a sac fly, and he threw his helmet. Remember, he threw his helmet and bounced up and hit the umpire. He just had a couple of temper tantrums, and it was like, okay, we can't wait to get rid of this guy, right?
Right.
And my favorite was Jan Hervis Solarte, who just would never run out a ground ball to first base ever. And he was awful. But to me, what Anthony Bass did, even though it wasn't evil or worthy of indictment or anything like that, and break any laws. It's just, you're a professional baseball player, and you're not even on this flight. And your wife, who's pregnant, 22 weeks pregnant, wow. Okay, I flew with my wife. She was in her 9th month. Okay,
Eek.
and allegedly was told to get down on her hands and knees and pick up the popcorn herself, according to Anthony Bass. So it's like, okay. So you made your wife fly commercial with 2 little kids, and she's pregnant with your 3rd kid, while you took the team charter, okay, and drank champagne and had caviar and whatever on the team charter back to Toronto. And you said to your wife from wherever, okay, honey, get on this United flight with the 2 kids, and you're pregnant. And okay, the flight attendant gives them some popcorn. The infant spills popcorn. Somebody takes a picture of the popcorn under the seat with the 2 kids. It's probably the wife, right? Anthony Bass's wife. And then he tweets it out, and he tags United Airlines. Now, you didn't have to do that, man. You didn't have to do that, okay? And then in the tag, it says, told my 22-week pregnant wife to get down on her hands and knees and clean it up. Now, where's the second source for this? Because in all honesty, I do not believe you could be having the worst day ever. This woman could be treating you like crap, like shit. You could just want to strangle her. Did you tell her to get down on her hands and knees in front of and then the other one was in front of the entire flight? Because this is the way it sounds, like humiliated my wife in front of the entire flight. I don't think so. At seats 6D and E and F, maybe a few people around there, but the entire flight. So to me, it was you're grandstanding here, Anthony. You're trying to make it seem as if this one flight attendant at United Airlines made your wife and children so miserable and humiliated them so badly and embarrassed them that you had to take to Twitter with your however many 100,000 followers and lay this story out here. And generally speaking, most of the comments were, come on, like, really, Anthony? This is what you're a $1 million baseball player and you're going to lay this trip on all of us, and come on. And then there are other people saying, God damn it, you shouldn't have to be. This is what the cleaning crews are for. Just, so as far as I'm concerned, Anthony Bass should just get out of here. You should have never done this. It's a shitty thing for you to do. It's not a professional thing to do. Why would you do that? You sound like a whiny, entitled athlete. And you weren't even on the plane. You weren't even there.
Yeah, I would love to know I'd like to interview the stewardess. So I don't even know what the proper nomenclature is.
Mike, it's flight attendant.
Yes, I know. I was actually
stewardess.
Brian Gerstein called her a stewardess, and I read it at the same time.
Not stewardess.
You're right. It's not the 60s anymore. But I'd like to speak to her about what went down there. But yeah, this whole story, my goodness gracious. This is why we come to Hebsy on Sports for these hard-hitting sports stories.
So as far as I'm concerned, Bass is on the no-fly list or whatever list. He's like one of those. He's just joined the aforementioned villains.
Right.
These are villains.
Right.
Because
people Kelly Gruber on that list now. Because
no, Kelly, that would have been after. See, that was after the fact. That was after he played. It's not the same.
But that's Alomar too. Alomar was after he played.
Yeah, it was after he played. I'm talking about while you're wearing a Blue Jay uniform and you're representing the Blue Jays and Toronto and Canada. You're representing Toronto and Canada. You're Anthony Bass of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Did Alex Rios yell something outside of the
museum? Yeah, somebody caught him. Somebody caught something. Yeah. I guess he'd be in the top 10 maybe. If you were to do a list of 10. I think I gave you the 5 good ones there, but there's probably some other ones.
This is a fun game. 10 most disgraced active Toronto.
Well, not disgraced. To me, it was this. Once they did this, did you want to get rid of them? Like how fast before it's like, get this guy off the team? Like as soon as we found this out about Osuna, like get him out of here, right? It's toxic. That was the easy one. He's poisoning the team. Yunel Escobar, as soon as we found out that the eye black and the homophobic statement, we get rid of him. We don't care how good he's playing.
Like, if I may, when Pilar used the F slur, he owned it right away and apologized and took he basically, because he owned it and owned up to it, took accountability and worked on himself. We forgave him
and he was sincere. Right. You're right. Anthony Bass should have sent an apology. Instead, he kept tweeting out, "Oh, right on," and other people who were agreeing with him saying and retweeting their agreement, saying, this broadcaster right on, like hit the nail on the head. No, man, you're making it worse. Every time Anthony Bass tweets now, he's just asking for more trouble.
Do you remember when the great Morgan Riley was caught on video? People thought he was using the F slur, but in fact, he was saying rag it. Do you remember this?
I do, but again, like
he was saying rag it.
You're trying to find something. You're trying to find something so you can expose somebody for, what you and I might do. And, I know it. So people are calling for Bass. It's like, demote this guy to Buffalo and bring up Nate Pearson. That's what they're going to bring up, Nate Pearson. So, this Nate Pearson fetish that people have, like they're looking at stats going, he struck out 15 batters in 7 innings. He did so well in the Dominican League. He's got blah, blah, blah. Bring him up. I'm like, man, stop it with this. I've watched every game. I've watched all the Buffalo games. Okay. If I can't watch them, I'll look at the highlights. And yeah, Nate Pearson struck out 15 batters in 7 innings. But folks, I have to do a deep dive here to explain a few things to you about Nate Pearson. He's never entered a game with the team in the lead. He has no saves. He's pitched 7.1 innings. He's given up 4 hits and 4 walks, and he struck out 15. But every game he enters, they're either losing or they're tied, and it's not the 9th inning. All right. Every game he comes into a game, he's losing 6-0. He's losing 6-3. He's losing 8-1.
Mop up guy.
Okay. Those are the last 3 games.
You could have mopped up that popcorn on the flight, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. Right. They played a doubleheader yesterday. He didn't pitch in either game because he had pitched an inning the night before. Pitched the 9th inning. They were losing 6-0. So he hasn't come into any high leverage situations at all. So to me, if the Jays are going to bring him up, it's going to be as a mop-up guy.
Right.
It's going to be a more than 1 inning guy. We need you out there because we're getting our ass kicked. or here, get some work. We're up by 6 runs, that type of a thing. So
See,
it's like,
you're so right, but I just have to share this because we're talking about disgraced Jays or whatever. Reese McGuire took it out.
Reese McGuire. But but here's
Steve
the thing.
mentioned that.
But did we want, it's true, but did we want to get rid of him because of that?
No, but it did sour your vision of
Yeah,
Reese McGuire.
but again, it wasn't like, all right, we got to trade, we got to get rid of this guy now because he's bringing the organization down. Maybe at the time a bit, the Dollar Tree parking lot. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, thanks. There you go, folks. Come up with your own list. 10 most disgraced players, but they had to be playing for the Jays at the time.
Right.
Okay, good. By the way, I get these emails. Every Jays home game is a celebration or a giveaway or a theme. Every home game this year, there's a theme. Some kind of a theme, right? There's some other reason to come to the game. Right. And you've also got 6 or 8 new bars now where it's just come on and drink.
Right.
Do you know that all the $20 seats are sold out for the rest of the season, Mike?
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Every game. You cannot buy a $20 general admission seat. Now, that $20 admission does not guarantee you a seat anywhere.
Right.
You can walk around, standing room. It's all about standing room. They sell tons of those seats. If you get there early, you can sit, above the bullpen and sit there on those bleacher type seats, but there are no reserved seats, right? These $20 seats are like, hey, you go. So they're all sold out. They're all sold out, man. And now it's like another bar. Here's Dan Schulman and another bar. And even when they're on the road, like they were in Houston, they're showing video from the games where they were playing in Toronto. Look at the view from the bar. Like, let's get everybody drunk, right? And just see what happens. Come on for the party. And so there's one of them, I guess it's on one of the loony dog nights or whatever. Joey Chestnut, okay, the world hot dog eating champion, is like coming to Toronto for an appearance. And so Gene Velitis chimes in, wait a second, who's paying for Joey Chestnut's appearance? Like, is it Schneider's or is it the Blue Jays? Because if it's the Blue Jays, like why wouldn't they save that money and send Ben Wagner on the road? Because Joey Chestnut's appearance money, it's got to be some dough there. Like, it's like, even if it's 20 grand or something, like 20 grand, you could send Ben Wagner on like some road trips, man. Come on. I'm thinking of everybody that's got to sit home, that's covering Toronto sports, that can't go to the games. Right. Rogers, Cheech Garrett. Hey, Cheech, it's been great knowing you, but, sorry, we're going to have to break you up. You're making too much money. Or we got, we can't afford you or stuff like. We can't afford you because we got Joey Chestnut coming. It all comes out of the Rogers budget. It all comes, right? It all like when they spent that, what was it, 5.2 billion?
Yeah, around there.
But when they spent that, did they say? And by the way, I understand from insiders that deal is heavily backloaded. Rogers didn't have to pay nearly as much upfront of that 5.2 billion as they do on the back end. And so how many years are we into that contract, Mike? 8 or 9, and it's a 12-year deal?
Yeah.
Okay, so now is when the real money, now is when they got to have the Leafs. They got to have revenue. So the reason all this is happening, a good reason is it, according to, people, somebody I know inside that's saying, look, you've got to show on your books over the 12-year period that you were what's the word? Your fiduciary responsibilities or whatever were such that because we got to pay, X billion over the last 3-4 years of the contract. That's how they looked at it. They would have momentum. And then in the final years of the contract, they will have built up enough capital from the Leafs getting into the second round or whatever it was. But instead, no, now they're going, look, if we keep Ben Wagner off the road, we keep Joe Bullen off the road, we keep Jim Ralph off the road, we stop this, we do that, we get rid of Cheech, we get other people, we get Jim Houston to retire, all of it, whatever. Remember, we're talking over a 12-year period, Mike.
Right.
Any expert will tell you, okay, that's long-term projection for a business and also an investment, $5.2 billion.
This is
so
why
the last 3 or 4 years, which we're into now, that's when Rogers has to pay large dollars.
Well, I was texting with Jeff Merrick the other day, and I just said, go Leafs go as a closer, whatever. And he's like, as a Rogers employee, he said, it's go Jets go Leafs go Oilers go.
For sure. You got to have some content, but for sure, Leafs are going to drive more again. So that's what I understand. So there you go.
Amazing.
That's where, by the way, did you know, Mike, that if you, and this is not an endorsement for MGM. I think it's MGM Bet. If you bet $10, like $10 of your real money,
Mhm.
of actual real money, your dollars,
Yeah.
With MGM Bet, and they're going to give you $200 in betting money. But if you spend $10 of like your own money with MGM Bet, make a bet, you get a free 1-year subscription to The Athletic.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm still paying $60 a year.
Why you
But
doing
all you got to do as part of this, it's like, something value added. What's the value added? Oh man, I don't know. I'm on Bet 365. I'm on this bet. I'm on that bet. I'm on DraftKings. I'm on blah. I'm on blah. I'm on Cabby's back. Cabby, the big board are back. Sportsnet bets. I'm this. I'm here. I'm there. I'm whatever. MGM Bet. Why would I want to go there? Well, you get $200 in betting money. I can get that anywhere. But make a $10 bet, free subscription to The Athletic. Ooh, I'm in.
Yeah, it saves you a bunch of money. It's a no-brainer.
Ooh, I'm in.
Okay.
And I'm still paying $60 a year. I can't get out of that deal.
So how
I'll
come
make I'll make a $10 bet with the MGM Bet to get a free subscription to The Athletic.
You're the only one paying $60 a year. I hope you know that. Everybody's paying like $1 a month or something.
Stop reminding me. Okay, so Tim McAuliffe, Tim and Friends, no longer. They replace it with this NHL network show, this plug-in show from the States with Jackie Redmond, who used to be on The Score, and I don't know who this other, EJ Raddick. And they had Bruce Boudreau on the other day. They'll get other special guests on and they'll talk to people. And what a fucking shit show this is. Fucking hockey for dum-dums or people from New York. Right. Oh my God. And if you're used to watching good, interesting hockey talk or whatever, especially, Canadian, oh my God, this is like, let's just talk for a couple of hours and just blah, 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 blah. 3 people talking hockey from the States.
But Jackie Redmond back on Sportsnet.
Passaic, New Jersey. Yeah, it's Jackie back on Sportsnet. And I'm watching this like, really bad, like just shit. And this is what they replaced him. And now Tim's doing Sportsnet Central. He's on with Ken Reed last night. He's doing a highlight show. And you got people going, Mike in Boston, 90s style, 20th century highlight show. Hey, not everybody goes to Twitter or whatever and gets their highlights on the fly. Some people like to watch, a packaged highlight show. Some people like to sit down, whatever it is, in front of their device.
Someone must be watching.
And watch 15 minutes of a highlight wrap up and some entertaining voiceover and some personality. Maybe a little personality. But no. This is a 20th century style highlight show. Let's go forward. Let's move forward. Why is Tim doing it? Hey, got news for you. I watched it. It's good. I'm getting my information. I'm getting some personality. There you go.
Well, someone must be watching, right, Hebsy?
Well, there you go. Tim's a good broadcaster.
Not me, but you're watching for both of us, so I appreciate that.
And before we go, one of my favorite comedians is Bill Burr, he's Boston. And he loves hockey, and I listen to his podcast on Monday mornings. He's really good. Yeah. And he's right into hockey. And there was a picture of him a couple of weeks ago when the Leafs were in Ottawa. He was playing in Ottawa, I guess, and he's there up on the big screen. He's there, watching the game and enjoying it. Anyway, the other night after the Leafs loss, I guess it was during the Leafs loss, he tweets out, "Fucking Leafs." That's all. That was the tweet. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's a Bruins fan, but he just loves hockey. And on his podcast, he's always giving it to Leaf fans. Fucking Toronto and up there, and blah, blah, blah. Like he's really good at it because he makes fun of everybody and he makes fun of Canadians and hockey but he really enjoys making fun of Leaf fans in Toronto and, especially Leafs and their futility. And, rubs in the fact that the Bruins and that kind of thing. So sort of an ongoing thing. So he just tweeted out "fucking Leafs." And I just thought that's just so perfect. So apropos, comedian, like all of us, we're thinking the exact same thing. Fucking Leafs. Right.
Go Leafs, go.
Bill Burr. Leave it to Bill Burr. That's it for episode 303 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration.
3:30.
Hit him up at 3:30. Oh my God, I'm dyslexic. Come on,
you just robbed yourself out of 27 weeks.
I'm dyslexic. It's episode 330 of Hebsy on Sports, or Sports on Hebsy. Thanks to Mike Toronto for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Vancouver Mike and listen to his excellent podcast. Listen, any of you listening from the West Coast there, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Just because I'm from Toronto doesn't make me a bad guy. So lay off with that stuff. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another episode of Hebsy on Sports next week. Until then, so long for now.